Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. On one of the recent shows, we showed this video of this music video of this group Twin Flame. They're a musical duo out of a male and a female out of Denver, Colorado. And one of their songs was Peaceful Warrior. And it really struck me, and we've talked on the show a lot, and we have a newsletter that goes out, I don't know, to 4,000 or 5,000 people now, and we talked recently about, a peaceful passion. And, in such a time of turbulence, in such a time of chaos, what can each of us individually, what can we take with our love and our experience, and how can we manifest it, how can we share it with the world, and how can we experience more of that love and more of that connection? And the thing that I really saw is that we have to really experience it and manifest it as best we can fearlessly. And, the story about Jesus and Peter, and, Peter, who had an incredible experience of the mastery of that individual Jesus, the Christ. And yet 3 times before the rooster crowed, 3 times before the sunrise, he denied that experience. And how many of us in our own lives, not necessarily particularly Jesus or Krishna or Buddha or Muhammad, but the experience of that love, of that connection, how many times do we deny it before the rooster crows? What brings up that fear in us that we can't come forth in love, in joy, fearlessly, and proclaim our divinity? Proclaim our love. Proclaim our connection between us all. And how often are we going to come and still deny our experience, still deny that love? And so much, people who've seen the show before know that basically on everything, on the flyers, on the opening, on the closing, it's dedicated to the oneness, dedicated to the oneness. And we can have that experience and take it forth fearlessly. Because what do we have to lose? The only thing we have to lose is our illusion and our suffering. And, has been said by all the masters, when they come into those human experiences where it looks like somebody has power over them, they've said time and again, you have no power over me. It's only that love in heaven, that love within me, that is what I am. And because I know that, I can walk fearlessly into that love, manifest that love, and be that love. So, again, we have somebody who's come in literally from New Zealand, in a sense, to California, to share their love with the Americans, and through this Bridging Heaven and Earth show, in a sense, share their love with the world. Linda Macpherson is a world-renowned intuitive guide for self-healing. She travels the world helping people transform their lives. She uses her intuitive abilities and her intuitive gifts to help people release blocks, emotional blocks, all kinds of things that block them, that hold them back from their growth and the experience of that, of the fullness of that joy and that love. And she just delights in coming forth with that and sharing that. And she's going to do an intuitive self-healing, and she's going to guide a self-healing on the show tonight. So, we're really fortunate. And then we have these extraordinary videos that we've put together. One we did on a show here with Shanti, Shivani, with just beautiful graphics, and her music is just delightful and wonderful and heavenly. And then we have this Bridging Heaven and Earth Foundation promo that the crew and the staff here put together, and it's really beautiful, and we just like you to get the energy of that. So again, there's an opportunity for us all to come more fearlessly into that knowing, more fearlessly into that love, to never again deny our experience. Not 1 time before the rooster crows, not 2 times, not 3 times. Just to go forth together in collaboration and individually and bring forth that love. So as we normally do at this time, please join me in a short meditation, and Linda's going to be with us. We have these incredible videos, and it should be another opportunity to experience more. So please join me in a short meditation. Thank you very much. So we're going to start tonight's show with a music video, Shanti, Shivani. It's a beautiful, enchanting piece, both musically and visually. It'll be described on the video. It's some sort of Hindi language that I'm not really good at, so I'll spare you all the mispronunciations. So whenever we're ready, Shanti, Shivani, beautiful video.
re ne ne da ne dum.
Hi, welcome. That was beautiful, wasn't it? So we're on the set with Linda. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So, what does it mean to be an intuitive guide? I mean, we've had so many shows. We've had all different combinations, all different terminology. Use the word intuitive guide. What do you mean by that?
Intuitive guide, I feel, is that I receive information about a person, about an age where something happened. It's like I intuit what has happened with that person and where their block is, and I help them to go to that. And I feel I guide them to go to wherever the block is or what has been repressed. So it's a feeling of connecting with another person and feeling their feelings. And so that way I find whatever they haven't been able to deal with or they put away.
And is it just sometimes because it's too traumatic at the time to deal with? Is generally that it?
Often things happen that we can't handle in the moment that they happen, and the people around us are too busy dealing with what's happened. And so we have to go on with our life, so we put away the feelings. But when we put them away, it's like they're still blocked in us, and our body has to work very hard to hold these feelings. And we can go on for a long time, but at some point it becomes, as other feelings come in, as other things happen, becomes too much for us. And that's when people start to have difficulties carrying on. And so that's what to go back and find this experience and to help the people heal it, even though it's in the past.
Now, I mean, some people talk about past lives. Do you stop at birth in this life, or can you go back in your intuition into past lives? And
if a person needs to go to a past life, I'll help them go there. But a lot of the work we need to do in this life, and it's only occasionally that it comes up that the person needs to look at something that happened in a past life.
Most of the time people got enough to work on this life to keep them busy for a while.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you come to know that this was your gift, that this was your tool? I mean, you're growing up in New Zealand and the Clan Macpherson. I couldn't help it. I loved the Clan MacLeod and the Clan Macpherson.
Well, as a child, I think always I would feel what the people didn't express. So I'd see people at a party or in a group, and I would pick up not what they were saying or showing, but what was underneath. So it was really a difficult...
From a very early age.
Early age. And it was very difficult for me because I'd wonder if I was really seeing what was there or I was imagining it. And so I couldn't be in a group with a lot of people. I would be really too much. And so I didn't really start using this ability until I was in my 40s.
Wow. Was there any time in your life where people, took this ability? You heard us talking earlier about this physical healer, Gina Gidio, had this traumatic time when he was younger. Did you have anything like that set you back 30 years or something like that?
I had quite a few traumatic experiences in my childhood, which I've completely buried. And it took me quite a time to find
Was it
those.
like repression of that gift, that you were it was the work of the devil, or it was negative that you had these experiences with people? And
no, it was more my own personal experiences, which I think were necessary to prepare me for the work later on.
Like how? Tell us how that worked, you think?
Well, I think it's important to be able to feel other people's pain. You need to know what the pain is yourself. So I think my life prepared me for doing this work by having to go through a lot of painful experiences.
So would you say that that's part of like compassion, to know the difficulties it is in being in a human body and being...
I feel it's really part of it. You can't really feel for someone else if you haven't felt it yourself.
Even in this one human incarnation. You generally don't carry that in with you, you would say?
Well, I think you do bring some with you,
I see.
but you also have a lot in your life, and I feel that was preparing me to have this empathy for people and their pain.
So, okay, so you had this as a child, you kind of lost it, went away from it, didn't experience it as much, or did you just not use it, or?
I didn't use it. I had it, I didn't know how to use it, I didn't know what to do with it.
And so how did that come about, that you regained it and started sharing it fearlessly as we
Well, I think I really went on a search to find how to heal myself, first of all. And I left New Zealand when I was 19, and I went to live with an Aboriginal tribe in the Nullarbor Desert in Australia for 3 years.
Wow, that must have been something.
It was.
I mean, did you come from like a regular person, kind of middle class, normal?
It's hard to say normal,
yeah,
but...
no, I know, that's why I said normal. What the hell's normal nowadays? But, I mean, a regular living to an Aborigine life?
Well, it was an Aboriginal mission, so I went there, I lived there for 3 years.
Wow.
And I feel that this really changed my life.
How? How do you think?
Because I was in contact with the people, and some of them, I was with the births of babies, I was with some when people died, I was in the desert with the people and it just, my whole focus changed.
How would you describe your change?
I didn't worry about material things so much. It was people became important, and it wasn't so much about what you look like, but it was more about how the people were feeling.
And so, okay, you had the 3 years with this Aborigine tribe. So now you're 22 now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now how did you go from 22 to 40? This is going to be quite a journey. I wonder if we have an 8-hour show.
I went on quite a lot of travelling,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up living in Spain and Ibiza for 16 years.
Wow.
And that's where I started to find how to use this.
Did anything trigger it in particular, or?
I think it was a decision that I wanted to change my life, and I started to do a lot of self-healing work, going to different people to help me, and I started to find a lot of the traumas that I hadn't dealt with and started to go through a process of healing. And after about 5 or 6 years of doing this, I went to a group that was about feeling energy, psychometry. And for me, nothing happened. I held someone's ring, I didn't get any feelings. And the woman there said, if you don't get any feelings doing this, maybe you're in the wrong place. And I thought, no, this is what I want to do. So it was really a deep decision. I want to work with energy. I want to use this ability that I put away.
Did you remember that you had this gift as a child at that point? Or?
Well, I just always knew that I had this feelings could pick people's feelings, but I never knew how to use it, and I went away from people. I lived in a little house in the country. I didn't have a lot of contact with people, and so then it was like having to go out and be with people. And so I started practicing with a friend once a week for a year, just to see what happened when I put my hands above her. And the second time I did that, all her feelings that had been repressed came through me, and I was crying and shaking, and it was overpowering.
Did it come through in images? Did it come through in a feeling? Did it come through something you could describe? Did it come through as it was like 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
It came through in many ways. It came through in the feeling and seeing inside, like imaginary pictures, very subtle pictures. And it also of hearing things that had happened to her. And the feeling would go through me as well, her feelings. But it was too overpowering at the beginning. I didn't know what to do with it. So I had to practice and learn how to help the other person deal with the feelings that were coming up, and not for it all to go through me. And so over the year, just practicing, it became more subtle, but more fine. And she we got to know each other very well.
I would say, right.
And she's a very close friend.
Right. And was she also, I mean, was she gifted the same way or a different way?
Well, she worked
We're always
with
looking for guests, so
she worked with a massage on the physical body.
Oh, I see.
So it was a new area for her as well, to see what happened with the energy. So we just practiced with each other.
And then from there, did you feel more confidence in that ability, and then did you start offering that to people?
I had to go and say to people, can I work with you? And I'd say, I do something with my hands, and they'd say, what do you do? And I couldn't really define what I did. And so some people wouldn't want to do it, and some people would say yes. And that way I learnt how to feel different people's energy and how to help them to release a block. So often I hear an age or I hear a situation to help guide the person to find that block. And I think because I feel how they feel, it gives them help and support to go to an issue or an experience that was very painful.
And so in your experience over these now many years and many intuitive guidings with a lot of people all over the world, that what ends up happening is that when that block is cleared and that memory is kind of surrendered in a way or something, that there's more harmony, that there's a better flow in the being, physically, mentally, spiritually. There isn't a block.
Yes. And the people feel it. Often as they release this block, they cry, or sometimes they feel like they're taking back part of themselves, and they say they feel bigger, or they feel different. And as I work with them, I feel when I can feel the feelings of going and releasing these old feelings, and then usually there comes to a really lovely feeling, and it feels like everything's flowing, and they start to feel, often they're smiling, and they really change their feeling.
Have you seen generally that when you have this experience with people, this intuitive guiding, that almost everybody has some blockage somewhere?
Most people, I think we all somewhere have some experience that we haven't resolved. And sometimes people go back to things that happened 50 years ago, and they're very surprised that was still held in their body. And it's amazing that once they've released it, they usually feel quite tired, because it's like their body's been holding this for all those years.
Right. And what is your experience with people not either recreating it or like letting it go and letting it go for good, because it's had a tremendous momentum of being there, but you find even in this one session that it can be released and released finally and forever in a sense?
Well, it all depends on each person, if they're ready to release it, and if they're ready to move into a new feeling without this block, because it's been comfortable. Maybe it's painful. They're
familiar with it.
And so some people make a change, and it's like they've got a key in the door to go on working with themselves. But some people fall back to the old.
And do you give like tools or keys or techniques to help them to keep that door open, to keep that block away? It
comes up if you work with the inner child. So I always ask them if they can take that child we've worked with them as an imaginary friend for the next week or 2 weeks, or as long as they feel they need, and talk to themselves how they would have talked to that child that's been healed. And so that taking that imaginary child with them gives them an image of how they need to treat themselves. And that seems to be very helpful for a lot of people, because it's like they can imagine what the child's face would look like if they spoke to the child like they're speaking to themselves. And it's also to be able to apologise and say, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you any longer how you would talk to, and now I want to give you the love you needed. And that seems to help often. And often comes up an affirmation that they can say, or it's just the feeling of whatever we've cleared. So everybody's different.
And would you say that there are layers in a lot of people that you can get to, you know, and then you can go back again and go back again, and it just, it gets more and more subtle. There are a lot of gross places, and then there are, you know, subtle places where we hold stuff.
Often there's, I've worked with some people over years, and you work first with whatever comes up, what the body's ready to heal.
And is that what you would normally see first, that what the body is kind of ready to heal, and that's more on the surface in a way, and that was what you'd pick up, and then as you get deeper and deeper, you'd pick up deeper and deeper levels of it?
It's whatever comes up to be healed first, and you can work with that, and then some months later you can look and there'll be something else. But often there's a few big traumas that when they're released, then the person feels that they can really live what they want. But we can go on heal. It was always smaller things to heal too.
And do you find that there are certain tools, like there are a lot of, like in a lot of spiritual traditions or spiritual paths, is, you know, some form of meditation or some form of, you know, quieting the mind or being here now, that in itself helps like release blocks or eliminate or harmonize, or whatever word you'd want to use?
I feel because the person is coming into their centre, coming to themselves, and it brings a quieter feeling.
And so would that kind of like pierce the blocks and kind of like, in a sense, release them?
I think
it potentially
can
do that. Because I mean, I think that, you know, one of my experiences is if you can have the experience of where you're not blocked, you know, somehow that kind of washes the blockages. So you almost in a way don't have to deal with each specific block, because you're like kind of washing the whole system at the same time. So you've had that experience too. But I mean, for people to have an experience of meditation is also not so easy in this time because of all the busyness and all the concepts and identities we have. So you're like kind of a tool, your gift is a tool for people to come in contact with and like drop into themselves.
Yes, I feel that I'm like a catalyst to help the person find whatever. Often if it's been too traumatic, they need a very safe environment and support to go back and look at this experience. And so that's what I feel I do. I feel my voice is very soft because it needs to be. You need love often to go back to look at something that's been painful.
So in other words, the fact that no one's heard you this whole first thing, that's fine, because they're all getting mellowed out anyhow. So, I mean, you usually deal, we talked about this a little earlier, with individuals, one-on-one. You find that that's the best. Now, do you ever work in, you know, like workshops with groups?
Yes, I do sometimes with groups. If I work individually, usually it takes between 1.5 to 2 hours so that you can really work through, and that whatever you've opened, that's completely resolved, and the person feels strong to go on with them after that. In a group, I look at a person with my eyes closed so I can see, connect with their energy, and I hear an age, or I hear a situation, or I hear what is ready to be looked at. And I feel that as we do that, it helps other people in the group connect with things that have happened in their lives. And so this flows. One person helps other people.
Okay, and you're going to do like a little mini...
It's a little mini.
mini intuitive guiding after we do the video. Why don't we do the video now, and then we'll come back to that. And so yeah, it's as I said at the opening, it's the Foundation promo video. It's very beautiful, and you know, I think you'll like it. I think we've shown it once or twice before, but we're really pleased with it. And then we'll be back and we'll have a mini guided healing. Well, we hope you like that. So why don't you just set this, little mini me intuitive healing or intuitive guidance up, and then we'll go into it.
All right, I just close my eyes because it helps me to connect with the energy. And I just ask that you notice if any changes come in your body or if you start thinking about something. And usually the first thought that comes in is the important thought. So I'll just close my eyes and I make a little prayer for myself. And if you can just tell me if you notice any changes in your body or if anything comes. So about 12 years ago, can you remember what was happening in your life?
Yes.
And could you tell me?
I had a job that I lost and a friend that I lost.
And how did you take the loss of that friend?
Very badly.
And was it a natural, can you share how they died?
Cancer.
Cancer. And were you with them close to the death?
No.
But you felt very close to them, is that true?
Yes.
And I'd say you gave them a lot of support in the moment of dying. Did you feel that?
Actually, there were two friends. One died of something else. One I knew about. One was a total shock. But I did get to spend time with her before she left.
Yes. Good. And that friend, the one that you knew about, do you feel that they showed you something, that they gave you something that's helped you in your life?
How to face death.
How to face death.
She knew much longer than I thought.
Yes. Now, did you have something to clear with the one who died and it gave you a shock? Did you have something that you hadn't told them that you wanted to tell them?
No, I was able to talk to that one.
Good.
And spend a very special time when she just moved, and she didn't know it at that time.
Good. So we're talking about two people, is that right?
Two people. In fact, there were 4 incidents at 12 years ago.
Yes.
After the job, I was in a job that was horrendous, that made me very physically sick. So all of them happened together.
All happened together. And how did you, in the time after that, what did you do? What happened? Because there's a feeling here of my body wants to sink in. It's a feeling like it was almost too much.
It was overwhelming. I was hiding. I got physically sick.
It feels like it was a shock.
Yes.
And how did you deal with that shock?
Anger, fear, and
just
hiding out.
And just watch what's happening in your body and just tell me any changes.
My throat, my mouth gets dry from stress. That started at that time. It's starting to happen right now.
Exactly. And look what's happening at the back of your neck and at the back of your body. Now, I keep hearing about not forgiving yourself. What was it if you could think about something you needed to forgive yourself at that time?
That I didn't go and wasn't present when the one that I knew about died.
Exactly. And it's like this has stayed with you all these years. So could you look at them now, just imagine looking at them and tell them what you really wanted to tell them?
That I loved her and that I wish she had given me the chance to know how bad it really was.
And watch what's happening in your body. Because she doesn't want you holding this. Is that true?
Yes.
It's for her, it's the last thing she'd want, that you have to feel this feeling of not forgiving yourself for that.
She told me in the very last conversation, "It's okay, Jane, I know, it's okay. part of the time she was not her normal self. She was very strange.
But
And I took it personal.
Yes.
But for some reason I called and found the hospital, exactly the hospital, and they were carrying her someplace. She didn't even say where. And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. And she said, it's okay, Jean, it's okay, Jean. So she did forgive me.
So can you hear that it's okay?
Yeah.
And look what happens in your body. And just imagine just looking at her now and just how you'd feel, and watch what's going on in your body. Oh, well done. How's it feel?
Relief.
Exactly.
And I don't feel...
Wow.
She used to have... She would talk so fast and so energetic that she would lose her breath and she'd gulp air, and I was getting that just now.
Yeah.
The gulping. Like I can't get enough air.
Oh, and for her it's so important that you hear it's okay. Yeah. She knows that you were with her. She knows that you loved her. Is that true?
Yes.
Good. Well done. Now watch what's happening in your body. Oh, really good. And just tell me what's happening.
I'm able to breathe even through my
Good.
mouth.
Wow.
And I don't want to cry on television, but I can't stop.
It's okay. It's really good. And just, if she was going to be near you now, just giving you support and letting you know that you're loved, where would she be?
She would be trying to feed me something.
Good.
She was always either feeding you or eating off your plate.
Really great. So it looks like it's a very joyful meeting, yeah?
Yes.
Really great. Oh. And just look at that 12 years ago. Look at the job you left. And just look how you feel when you think of leaving that job.
Well, I left one I liked. We all did suddenly, and the next one I got was the most horrible thing that I've ever experienced. It was like evil.
Yeah.
And I had physical ailments from it.
Yeah. Okay. And just watch how you feel in your body.
Some of them were my neck and back, and really feeling.
So what did you have to learn in that job? Why did you have that job?
I came from fear. I was in a fight and flight position. I couldn't run and I couldn't hit. I had to stand. There was nothing I could do. And I would stand there and just shake from anger.
It's a lot of anger. Can you feel it now?
Yes. This person bragged about how many people she had hurt over the years.
Yeah.
I don't like confrontation in a job situation, but I did stand up. That time I stood up and fought. I fought it.
Can you, if you looked inside and saw what colour that anger has, what colour comes up in your mind? First thought that comes.
Black and red.
And look what shape it has. Look what shape the anger has.
Like a sharp thing coming out.
Okay.
The
So
red part.
where would you put that to be transformed? What would you do with that sharp black shape?
I would try to take it and put it in some kind of light.
Okay. So can you just imagine letting it go and that it's going to be dissolved in the light?
I feel that my
And let it-
shoulders tense even now, because that was part of it was my neck and back.
Exactly.
And
And part of you is still holding on to it, and part of you wants to let go.
I want
So-
to give it to God or angels or someone to take over and just take
So-
it away.
So just with love, let it go, because you no longer need to hold this, and it's not doing you any good or anyone else. So just imagine with love handing it over to be transformed, and just watch what's happening in your body, and just any thoughts that come in.
God forgive me for being so angry.
Yeah. And just watch
And
how you
I
feel.
saw like light when I said that in my mind.
Well done. And what's happened with that black sharp?
Pardon?
What's happened with that black sharp object?
It's gone.
Well
when
done.
the light thing came.
Okay, really good. Well done. And just watch how your body feels now.
A lot more relaxed.
Oh, really good.
And I don't have trouble breathing like I was
No.
having trouble breathing.
Oh,
And the back of my neck and my shoulders I had for years. I couldn't even turn my neck to do Australian crawl.
whoa.
It's better now.
Really good.
As soon as I even think about it, I always go into this position like this.
Yeah,
Because I worked
Good.
in that position.
good. And just let yourself take a really deep breath and just feel your shoulders, how they are now. And just let yourself really sit back in that feeling. Because your basic feeling, your basic being is not angry. And that was something you really didn't need to hold.
But I did need to stand.
You had to stand up, exactly.
A stranger called through an
Whoa.
accidental meeting with my best friend and offered to testify in a court of law because it should have been stopped. So many people were hurt. And I
Good.
stood up.
And can you say thank you to yourself for doing that?
Yes.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
good.
God for giving me the strength, and my family,
Whoa.
and my friends for the support and love.
Really good. And really thanking yourself. Well, thank you very much. I think that's enough for the moment. And there's a very lovely feeling around you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So why don't you describe a little what you saw?
It's very difficult to describe after, because in the moment I'm seeing and feeling so many things, because I'm feeling in my body what's happening and what's being released. I'm hearing the age, the situation, it's all just going through me. So after, often I have a difficulty to explain exactly what happened because it happened so quickly and so intense.
But can you see, like when Jean was talking about releasing, and could you see the change from the tension and disharmony to the harmony?
Yes, it's not only I see it, I feel it.
I see.
Because in my body, as Jean was releasing, I felt in my body that happening. Because first, at one point we had the tension, I felt the tension building at the back of the neck, and it builds up in me, and then as we clear it, my body also goes through the releasing.
And how do you deal with the fact that a lot of these people have, or most people have some level of discomfort in one way or another, and how does it work that you don't take it in and become full of discomfort, as it were, become a discomfort machine?
Well, it just seems to flow through me.
I see. So it kind of just like an empty hose, and you can feel it, and you can feel the water, but it doesn't stick. So in other words, you can feel her shoulders tensing and loosening, and then then you're back to being you.
And I also feel the energy of the person who died. I feel what she wanted. So I'm feeling on many levels. And I had to do a lot of, at the beginning I used to protect myself. I had to protect, but now I realise it just flows through me and I don't have to do anything about clearing, it just goes.
So no one you deal with has such trauma that it traumatizes you, because you've learned to kind of just be an open vessel for it to flow through you.
I mean, some people have incredible traumas in their life and you wonder how they can keep living with those, what they've lived.
And it's the power of the life force. It really is. It's amazing that way.
And so it goes through me and I feel it and I feel compassion for them. But before I start working, I always make a prayer that I don't step into the other person's karma, so I don't have to learn their life lessons. So that's like a statement that I'm ready to work with them. I ask to work with love, but that I don't want to take on their experiences.
So like say, like in this particular instance, when Jean, forgave herself and got the feeling that the other people involved in this traumatic time forgave her, did that just like shine light on darkness? And once it's different now, it's not like encased in...
It just feels like letting go and feeling love and feeling that it's all right, that she knows that she was loved and it's all okay, and it just brings in a calm calm feeling where it just feels right.
But the thing I'm saying is that in essence there was like, you know, a momentum and a habit of thinking that I wasn't loved and I wasn't forgiven and I was bad and you know, I'm not worthy of love and I'm not worthy of God. And you find that even in like a short amount of human time, like a 10-minute period we had here, somebody could experience an openness, a surrender, a harmony that really they can take with them as a catalyst for really obliterating that blockage.
If the person's ready to let it go, yes.
And how does that work? I mean, why would one person be ready? Go back into the car. No, why would that happen? Would one person be ready and another not?
Well, for some people, they know how to live with this guilt. Or not saying how to live with this experience.
They're used to it.
They're used to it. And so to let it go, they have to change their whole thinking pattern. And so some people really want to change and ready to change. Other people maybe want to change, but it's too uncomfortable to move into a new way of being.
So if you were guiding them on a consistent basis, would you almost, every time you saw them, you'd go back to that spot necessarily? Or?
No, usually maybe it just needs a little support, maybe just a looking one more time, a little support, and then usually they can move on. It doesn't usually, it just needs a little help sometimes.
And are there certain like areas, like for most human beings, the traumas are around death? Yeah, I mean, it all comes from feeling separate from the oneness, feeling separate from God, but the way in the human body we kind of interpret it is death of loved ones, some kind of financial trauma, some sort of relationship trauma. Are those the big ones that seem to come up for human beings?
Well,
childhood
there's
abuse.
A lot of childhood abuse or childhood traumas. There's when people have death of loved ones when they haven't had time to say goodbye, or there's something hasn't been resolved, or relationships, or just the self-love, the acceptance of the self and forgiving the self. And often guilt's a big one, to let go of guilt.
And what creates, why do people take on guilt? How would you describe that?
Well, I think often people are told things in their life, and they set up this pattern that maybe they've done something wrong.
You mean there's so much right and wrong and good and bad that is almost against nature that you almost can't help but somehow do something that's not good, that's bad, that's evil, and people, if they believe in the good and bad in that way, they feel guilty.
They feel guilty, and they hold that, and it affects their whole life. And so to help someone to let go of the guilt and see that they really weren't, usually they're not guilty, usually they've done something that wasn't intentionally to hurt anybody, and so usually it's just a matter of helping them see what happened through different glasses, different eyes.
Wow. So, I think we're kind of coming to the end of the show again, and I don't know if you could feel the energy through the TV and through your monitors and through whatever day you had, and whatever busyness was going on in you and whatever traumas we all carry with us, but there was a tremendous growth potential for us all, and a tremendous growth. So again, can we go into this world and know this love fearlessly? Know this love? And of course we can. Of course we know it. So let's come together, let's bring that love out, let's manifest it, and we love you. So good night, God bless you. Thank you.